I think all jobs have stress. Every job that any of us do, I think our lives have stress. We're all human beings. But when you're dealing with a hands-on, and you're dealing in the medical profession, and you're dealing with people's lives, whether it's a nurse in the hospital or whatever, you're dealing with a day-to-day, ongoing, interpersonal relationship with these people. It's different than if you're, not to say that if you're a computer person, I mean, that to me is the biggest stress in the world, but if you're a computer person, it's not as stressful, it's just different. And when you're dealing with people's lives, and you're making decisions for people's lives, in hospice, you're doing pain and symptom management, you're doing counseling, you're doing all of these things, and you want that quality of life to be the best that you can have for that family. And if you blow it, the ramifications of that is people suffering. If you're in a hospital and you goof up and you blow it and you don't give the right medication, or if you say something unthinking to a family, they'll hold on to that. You can make a difference in people's lives for the good or not. They can walk away from you going, oh my God, you know, you look at a family member who you know hasn't been doing a good job and go, why did you do that? You know, there goes the guilt. So it's that day-to-day hands-on responsibility that brings the stress. And especially in end of life, I mean, I couldn't do emergency room, talk about stress, but in end of life, you want that process to be as smooth as you can for that family. And you have a team of people that you work with. You're not the Lone Ranger. You have a team of people, but it's a hard job to go home from and say, okay, well, hold that thought, I'll see you tomorrow. You know, you run through it. What did I do today? What did I do today? And that brings about huge amounts of stress. And for me, the first 5 years I worked hospice, I thought I was doing pretty well because I've worked on learning how to take care of myself. But after 5 years, I burnt out, and I realized I was trying to be super nurse and super wife and super everything, and that doesn't work. There's two different facets of nursing or of people that are caring for people. There's a caregiver and a caretaker. And a caretaker is going to take care of everybody else. They're going to take care of Mrs. Smith, Mr. Jones. They're going to take care of everybody else. They're going to figure out how to fix their lives, but they're not going to take care of themselves. A caregiver gives care to themselves and then takes care of other people. And those are the people that don't burn out. So I had to learn how to be a caregiver instead of a caretaker. And I developed a lot of different things. I mean, a counselor told me one time, do the 10 I ams. And when he asked me who I was, I said, I'm a hospice nurse. He said, no, that's what you do. It's not who you are. Who are you? And I just stood there looking at him going, I don't know. So I do that when I start getting lost. Healthcare professionals have a tendency to get lost in their jobs because it is so intense and so personal related. So who are you? You know, I'm a good person. I'm a spiritual person. I'm a good friend. I can, you know, and then the second part of that is, what do you do to fill you back up? What do you do when you're depleted from this job, from this career, from this for me it's a passion. What do you do to fill yourself back up? What are the things that put it back into you? For me, it's nature. It's, you know, taking a walk, it's laying on the lawn, it's going to the beach, it's being with my friends, it's quiet time. It's just being quiet with yourself, turn off the music, listen to the wind. And when stress builds up and you feel like screaming, go for it. I always say it's nice to have little mini breakdowns because then you don't have to have a big one. If you need to cry, cry. There's nothing wrong with crying. Crying to me is a very courageous thing because it lets it out, and feeling. People are afraid to feel, you know. No, I'm fine. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to buck up. I'm going to be, you know, because I can handle this. Well, no, you can't. You can't handle everything, so you just let yourself go bleh and cry. I mean, I'll end up in a heap. sometimes and just let it out and sob my eyes out. Done that, I don't even know how many times, and it's a release and you feel better. And then you pick yourself up and you go back. And then another thing is, I used to picture when I first went into nursing that it was them and me. So there was a big brick wall, the whole brick wall. They were the ones I was taking care of, but I was cool. And what that does is it makes you cold. Makes you cold. So I sort of picture a veil now between the client and me. It's their pain. They're going through it. I'm not going through it. I'm not going to do any good to them if I'm trying to rescue them, if I'm trying to, jump in the pit with them and just I become ineffective. As ineffective as if I stand behind the wall. So you reach out and you put your hand out to somebody and you try to say, how can I help you? But it's still their pain. When it's your pain, you get to feel it. But if Mr. Jones for hospice has cancer and Mrs. Jones is falling apart, it's not going to do her any good if I fall apart. So you reserve a little bit back for yourself so that when you go home, you can go home and know that you're going to be sitting in your chair that night and you do the best for your clients that you can, but you don't bring them home with you as your family because they're not. So those are some of the techniques. I mean, I take long walks. I'm not religious, I'm very spiritual. And sometimes when I get bogged down, I just go, help. I ask my angels to help. Talk to friends, find out what's going on in the world. Don't disconnect from the rest of the world. We have a tendency to disconnect and, just do the job. But stay living and stay with your life and stay with your friends and all the things that you love that fill you back up.